My name is Cassandra Spence. I'm a member of Constance Lake First Nations, born and raised in the city of Thunder Bay, Ontario. I'm in grade 11, attending Superior High School, and in the future I will be enrolling at Lakehead University to study psychology. For many Aboriginal students who are from reserves and are entering Thunder Bay for schooling, the new experience may be overwhelming and there is a lot to learn about the city. This video is designed to give you and your family a brief look at some of the things you need to know before you come to Thunder Bay. You need to talk about what it's going to be like coming to a larger community. Transitioning from a reserve to Thunder Bay can be difficult for some. One may notice that this city is fairly large and there is much more freedom and little supervision. Thunder Bay offers many opportunities that are open to be explored and experienced. Some may become lonely or find themselves feeling awkward in a new area that is foreign to them because they may not have family located here. There are adults who want to help you and make the transition easier. Your school is a great place to start.
We're really happy to receive people from other jurisdictions in our province, and we understand that students from Northern Aboriginal communities are looking to come to our schools to further their education, and their parents are anxious for them to come to our school to further their education. That can certainly be a challenge for given the nature of the communities from which students are coming from and the experiences that they have there as opposed to the kind of experiences they'll have here.
I think it's just getting used to a different culture. It's definitely a culture shock when you come into the city. I often find that in Native communities there's a perception of non-Native people that live here, just because of some stories that you hear of people who have lived in the city or coming back. You kind of hear some negative things. So when I came here, I kind of had this perception that I was, I guess, against everyone non-Aboriginal. Like I thought I would sort of have a lot of unfair treatment, but it's all in the way you see it. Like you could easily change your point of view because you often find that when you come here, it's not true at all.
A lot of the students have never left the community even. So for them to go to a place like Thunder Bay and have all these different options available, all the sights and sounds, the sheer number of people, public transit, stop signs, stop lights, all these different things that you wouldn't see in a community like Fort Hope.
Key things for me, for students coming from northern communities, are making sure that they're connected. I think there's things that can be done before students come to town. I'd like to see students find out information about our schools, about people, getting connected to people. If they have access to the internet, checking out the school's websites, looking at the pictures, seeing who the people are, seeing the programs are great things. Getting hold of our brochures and information ahead of time. They can always call the schools here. We'll mail things up so that they can have information in their hands ahead of time.
It's like making a plan for any kind of an activity or any kind of a holiday or a trip. If you have a plan and you have a map and you know your course of actions and where you can go for help and what you can do to help yourself, then it'll be a much better experience. So it's all about planning, it's all about being a little proactive, finding out what's available and taking advantage of what's available within every school to be successful.
I'd say that they should be open to all the opportunities that they're going to find here, just to ask for help, not to be afraid of it, because people will help you if you ask them, and to make opportunities for yourself to make friends and to connect with other people. It's a lot easier to be able to settle here and get used to the new flow of life if you have people there with you, people that have experienced it. And it doesn't matter the type of person or who you ask for help. It could be like the non-Native teacher, or even like another Aboriginal student who has lived here longer. You'll be surprised about who is willing to help you.
Just like anywhere you go, there are always dangers and risks. There are many issues and problems facing Aboriginal youth today. One in particular would be substance abuse. Drugs and alcohol can lead to many serious consequences. Not only can this experimentation get you in trouble with the police, it can also affect your health.
We see a lot of alcohol and substance abuse, pretty much with a lot of those youth, but a lot of other people in general too, not just the youth there. So that's the majority of the kids that I run into are kids that just come down here and just have little supervision and little control over themselves and get in with their own crowd and kind of spiral out of control from there. I find they don't have a lot of experience with stuff when they come down here. And because they're not really in family situations when they're down here, that there's no one telling them when to stop or what to do, even.
I think when new students or people that come off the reserve, the way they bring their like attitude coming into a community like Thunder Bay, they intend to think that they could do anything because it's a lot more big, like a lot more huge. Like they can just go out and party.
There are a whole segment of kids that will go out and have 1 or 2 drinks responsibly, but there are a whole bunch that say, well, what's the point? The point of drinking is to get impaired, right? And I think that what you need to do with those kids is to say, okay, then if your point is to get impaired, how can you even mitigate that risk? So I think we need to sort of take our morality and our judgment off the whole impairment piece and say, okay, well, so if you were going to be impaired, then do you know what alcohol poisoning looks like? You need to call 911, despite the fact that you think that you might get in trouble, because your friend is going to die if you don't call 911. You need to be in an environment that's safe. You need to be with people that you know and that you trust. You need to be not getting into a vehicle. If you know you're going to be partying, then you need to have another way to get home. And it might not be walking. Walking can be just as dangerous when you're that intoxicated as driving, because people get hit by cars, people fall into rivers, things happen, right?
Try anything?
No, yet.
I'm hesitant to go to the place where you're saying, oh, Thunder Bay is a big, bad, scary place, and you have to watch out for the drug dealers and the gang leaders. But some awareness that there are people that will approach you, that may approach you. What do you do in a situation if you meet a nice guy who says, hey, I'll, take you under my wing, and I'm going to give you this, and I'm going to give you that, and the next thing you know, you're smoking pot with this guy, and the next thing you know, you're, doing him favors, so to speak, for whatever it is that he's providing.
Yeah, all the kids want to have fun and go out and experiment, and part of teenage development is the drug experimentation, the drinking experimentation, the peer experimentation. It's now, as a police officer, I understand how dangerous that is and what situations individuals put themselves in by drinking or doing drugs. You lower your level of thinking clearly and your common sense, and you put yourself in situations where you can become victimized of assaults, sexual assaults, robberies, putting yourself in danger by, it gets pretty cold here in the winter, putting yourself outside and not dressed appropriately, and the alcohol tends to numb the feeling of the cold, and you can quickly find yourself in physical trouble. Definitely when preparing your child to come to Thunder Bay, you want to reinforce values that you've taught them growing up, because they're going to have a lot more of independence once they're here, and thinking for themselves, making the right choices while they're here. You're not going to always be there, and that's part of growing up too. It's not just coming to Thunder Bay, but it's growing up as a young person, that to do the right thing, to stay out of trouble, make the right choices for yourself.
I think the key things they should do when they come to Thunder Bay is try to get involved with youth centers and stuff like that, so they could like meet new friends and try to get acquainted with other people, like good people, like people who would be really good role models for them.
Communication is a huge deal, and it's nice to talk with kids about, you know, what their plans are, what they want to do, and maybe even talk them through what they would do if certain situations arose, you know, to help them, you know, kind of think ahead of time of, hey, I talked to my parents about what I would do in this situation, and this is what we talked about. So don't forget those kind of lessons that you take from home before you come here to the city.
Okay, 111 to dispatch.
The police in Thunder Bay can easily be misunderstood in the Aboriginal community. What I've learned is that there are positive influences on society who are important in making the city safe. Not only should the police be well respected, but as a new resident of the city, we all should be understanding and cooperative with the police. Sometimes the police need your help.
I think part of it is stereotypes. Students have stereotypes of what police are doing, and students have this preconceived notion that police are going to target them because they're Native. But at the same time, I think there are possibly some stereotypes still from the police themselves that these kids are coming off the reserve and they look like certain suspects, I guess, maybe, or the usual suspects maybe, and they're already being targeted. And I know that's a common thought with a lot of the students here in this school, that they're already the prime suspects, even though they didn't do it, they weren't involved, but they still think that they're going to get the blame. Whether it's a truth or not.
I guess the first time that I met a cop was pretty intimidating because I guess that's how I got my my fear of cops for a while, because I didn't know what to expect from them, and I thought it was just a random person that was just coming up to me, and he was just asking me, "What are you doing here?"
Well, when we're conducting an investigation as police, a lot of times the public has stereotypes of what we do as police officers, and they think a lot of what we do is like the movies, and they want to know what's going on, and that they want to know if we need a warrant to speak to them. But a lot of times with police, we're just asking questions to find out what happened, if anyone has any information for us to add to our investigation. It's not necessarily we're looking to get somebody in trouble. As soon as the police, we have responsibilities as well, that if we believe you've committed an offense, as soon as we formulate that idea, we have to stop and caution you and let you know that you could possibly be charged with an offense. So just for us to go up and talk to anybody, we do that all the time. And some people, hopefully that'll change, their attitudes towards police will change, but because we're changing as well.
A really great idea for an Aboriginal youth is to get a job. Being employed is a wonderful opportunity to get yourself out there and really kickstart your life in the city. My personal experience with working is only a positive one. It is a great way to keep yourself occupied, other than schooling, improve social skills, and make honest money. A part-time job is beneficial because it will assist in the transitional process and help out financially.
Hey Don. Hey Gord. I got this week's flyer. I was wondering if I could go over it with you. Sure. I know that we have Ontario product that are coming.
Entry-level positions will challenge their ability to be at work on time, to develop a sense of urgency when it's needed, to complete tasks in a timely manner. These sorts of life skills will be inherent in everything they'll do from their teenage lives through to retirement. So that's where entry-level work starts them.
Getting a job really helps. It helps you get into the flow of the city because it's a much faster paced place. And so if you get a job, then you'll get used to, you know, I have to be there by this time, and I have to plan how I'm going to get there, and it'll be a lot easier for you to get used to that.
When they come through the door and they are not ready, the store manager might interview them on the spot. And then that first impression is a lasting one. They should be prepared to get that job that day. First impressions, really, the old adage, are lasting, and some decisions are made based on first impressions. First impressions an employer will be looking for can be shyness. Shyness can take a variety of forms, but when we deal with public and customers on a daily basis, we're looking for somebody who is an extrovert. First impressions also would be dress. How do you dress yourself? Your decor. Are you wearing your earphones and listening to music while I'm interviewing you? As a side story, I've had that happen. Or are you sitting on the edge of your seat, upright, and wanting to answer that question directly into my eyes? Will give me an insight as to what type of person you are and what you're going to be like with my customers.
Large tomatoes we have in stock?
Yep.
Awesome. The asparagus?
If I were getting ready to be employed, I would think that I first need to look the part. That my appearance needs to be ready to be employable. And that's my first step, would be my appearance. Am I showing up for work in a respectable manner, and I'm ready to be employed that day, as it were. The next thing, it would be your financials. Have you got a bank account? Have you got, because a lot of firms these days do direct deposits into your bank rather than a check. So I would research that perhaps before an interview to say, I have a bank account. I would be prepared with my social insurance number in case it's requested to set you up on payroll, and have that ready. These steps behind the scenes can make life easier for you when you're looking for work, and then once you've secured it as well.
Thunder Bay Transit is a service provided by the city for citizens in need of transportation. It is a safe way to get around. Remember that using the city bus is a privilege that is open to everyone. Like any privilege, though, don't abuse it. Here are some simple things to consider.
Well, Thunder Bay Transit really is the best way to get around the entire urban area of Thunder Bay. When it comes to the transit terminals are provided for the comfort and safety of all of our passengers while they're transferring for buses, trying to utilize the system. And terminals, that's the primary use that's intended for terminals. Terminals aren't a good place to use for long-term gathering spots.
Next stop, Algoma Harrington.
Thunder Bay Transit wants to get all of our passengers to their destination safely. So here's a couple of tips that you can use to help us do that. When you're on the bus, you'd want to sit or stand still in a moving bus because sudden stops may catch you off guard and surprise you. Look for a well-lit bus stop if it's in the evening, or choose a bus stop that has other passengers with it or pedestrians nearby. And if you're catching the bus after dark, consider using our night stop program. And that would be where you would want to get off. And if you would request a driver to let you off between stops, a driver would be happy to do that, providing that it would be safe to do so. Drivers can radio for help at any time by contacting our transit control desk, or they can also contact the police, fire, or ambulance. So in the event of an emergency, if you would need assistance, you could just contact or you could just ask for assistance from a transit operator. So feel free to climb on board, ride the bus, and enjoy yourself and explore the great things that the City of Thunder Bay has to offer.
As an Aboriginal youth who is residing in Thunder Bay, the advice I would give is that this city has many opportunities and experiences that are available for everyone, no matter where you are from. Don't ever be afraid to reach out for advice or help. There are good people who want you to be successful and happy. And family members, keep in touch with your kids. When they come to Thunder Bay, they need you. When it comes to having fun, always be safe. Go with your instincts and never hesitate to dial 911 if there is danger. It is important to educate yourself about serious matters such as drugs and alcohol. Be aware and be safe. We look forward to seeing you in Thunder Bay. And thank you for watching this video.